All right, today we're jumping into a really pivotal moment in history. What happens when a community, one that's literally founded on a shared promise, suddenly decides, you know what, we need a king? We're going to unpack that whole transformation from a pact to a monarchy and see just how deep the fractures went. So let me ask you this. What's stronger? A promise? A shared ideal that everyone buys into? Or a king? This centralized power of just one person calling the shots. This isn't just some dusty old question, right? It's the central conflict, the real tension we're getting into today.
Okay, so to really get this, we have to go back to the beginning. Before there were any kings, there was just an idea. This community, they weren't organized around a throne or even a specific piece of land. Nope, it was all built on a shared agreement, a set of laws. So let's take a look at what that actually meant.
At the very heart of this community was something called the Pact. And it's super important to get this. This wasn't just some fuzzy spiritual concept. It was a real, concrete political and social framework. You could almost think of it like their constitution. It laid out exactly how they related to each other, what their responsibilities were, all based on this shared alliance. So this whole pact-based society, it was basically held up by three main pillars. First up, you've got the law. This was the nitty-gritty, the framework for their daily lives. Then there's memory. They had this shared history, this story of liberation, and that was the glue holding them all together. And finally, their identity. And this is key. It wasn't about where they lived, it was about their shared commitment to the pact and to each other. All right, so if this system was so solid, so foundational, why on earth would they want to change it? Well, something started to shift. A new demand started bubbling up from inside the community itself. It was a cry for a totally different kind of order, for what they believed was stability. Plain and simple, the people started asking for a king. They wanted one leader, one central point of power. They'd look over at the neighboring empires and they saw something they thought they were missing, that sense of strength that comes from a top-down, stable political system. And you can almost feel the pressure cooker they were in, can't you? On one side, you've got them, decentralized, defined by these laws, and let's be honest, feeling pretty vulnerable. And on the other side, these huge, powerful empires with their kings, their standing armies, and this aura of total security. I mean, the appeal of that model, it just became too much to resist. So, they got what they wanted, but be careful what you wish for, right? Getting a king came with a very steep price. And this shiny new solution, well, it just created a whole new can of worms. Look, the monarchy showed up with a fantastic sales pitch. Order, protection, stability. And how would they get it? Easy. Just concentrate all the power in one person, the king. On the surface, it sounded perfect, like the exact answer they'd been looking for. But let's look at how that power actually played out in reality. It all starts with that promise of protection. Okay, great. But that leads to consolidating land and building up a whole government machine, a bureaucracy. And pretty soon, a massive tension starts to build. The king's authority starts clashing with the community's original pact. All of a sudden, you've got a system based on human rule going head-to-head with a system based on divine law. And you know what follows that, right? The classic side effects of too much power in one place: corruption and inequality. And this really gets to the heart of it. There's this quote that says it all. Political power does not eliminate conflict. It transforms it. The monarchy didn't solve their problems. Not at all. It just swapped them out for a new set of problems. And you could argue these new ones were way more dangerous. So this internal conflict, this new kind of problem, it didn't stay internal for long. All those unresolved tensions, they couldn't be contained in the royal court. They eventually boiled over and just ripped the entire kingdom in two. And the irony here is just, wow, it's devastating. They asked for a monarchy to unify them, to bring them all together. But what did it actually produce? The exact opposite: fragmentation. The very thing that was supposed to be the glue became the hammer that shattered them. And the result was a clean break, a split. What was once a single, unified community fractured into two totally separate political entities: a kingdom in the north and a kingdom in the south. Just like that. Loyalties were torn, and that whole dream of a single, stable nation, yeah, that was completely gone. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's a pretty sobering lesson, really. It shows that having a foundational pact,
Even a divine alliance isn't some magic shield that protects you from political chaos. At the end of the day, human power structures, even the ones built with the absolute best intentions, are incredibly fragile.
And that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. A pretty big question, actually. This fragility of human power that we see, is that a bug? Is it a flaw in the system that we should always be trying to fix? Or could it be a feature, a built-in reminder that maybe, just maybe, power should never be absolute?